Hello,
Hello,
White
White
Sox
Sox fan.
fans. Woo, coming in hot. Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to another edition of the FutureSox Podcast. My name is Ian Eskridge. As you know, we are going through and doing some previews of the minor league affiliates. I am lucky today to be joined by Doug Greenwald. How are you, Doug?
Well, Ian, I'm good. Trying to get settled here in Birmingham, but overall, I'm well. Glad baseball's underway.
Yeah, so you're the new play-by-play guy for the Barons. You are stepping into some big shoes down there in Birmingham with Curt moving along. Do you want to just give everybody a synopsis of where you've been and you know how you're looking forward to this season here?
Well, I mean, before I do that, obviously, I want to salute Kurt on his 33 years running with the Barons. Longtime friend of mine. I think safe to say wouldn't have this position if it wasn't for Kurt, who put me in touch with the president of the team, Jonathan Nelson. So a big thank you to both, obviously, for this opportunity. But I mean, 33 years, and I mean, with one affiliate, let alone one minor league organization, with Kurt. Just what a run, what a guy, and what a friend as well. So he definitely a big tip of the cap to him. And any Baron that has gone up to the White Sox in the last 33 years, Curt Bloom has a story. Whereas, given your initial question to me, my synopsis is I'm totally a clean slate when it comes to the White Sox and to me, all the affiliates I've been with, whether it be the teams I've personally covered or other teams in the league. I've never seen a White Sox affiliate. This is my first time, so I'm very new to that organization in terms of the minor league side of things. I mean, certainly follow them to the big league level, but my synopsis, my background has primarily been, the bulk of my career has been with Fresno, which 17 of the 20 years I was there was Pacific Coast League team, primarily a Giants affiliate. Later moved to the Astros for a few years, Washington for 1 year before the pandemic hit. And then the last couple of years I was there, the team, Major League Baseball, moved Fresno to low A and it was a Rockies farm club. But the majority of my career, I would say, has been based mostly around the Giants, whether it's been doing a few big league opportunities in the regular season for them, their spring training webcast for 12 years, or being with a Giant affiliate. Again, the bulk of that time with their AAA club in Fresno, or even going back to their days at AA in Shreveport. So I'm mostly familiar with, we'll say, the Western based minor league teams. And as you know, the White Sox have all of their minor league affiliates in the Southeast. So this is all new to me, but it's been fun. And so far, everyone has been great from, Paul Giannis on down. Uh, Scott Reifert at the big league level, the broadcasters of the White Sox with Connor and DJ. I've known Lynn Casper a long time, so I think that helps as well. I'm not talking Lynn in a while, but I mean I'm familiar certainly with the broadcasters, but class group, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think the farthest the White Sox have gone west. I mean, they had Great Falls for a little bit that they had the Voyagers out there, but a long time ago they had the Calgary Cannons, and I think that's the farthest I can remember them being west, at least in my brain. So yeah, none of those none of the White Sox affiliates made their way out that way at all. Um, so I guess we'll just move into what the Barons are going to be this year. And I would say that the biggest storyline headed into the year is probably the three-headed monster that you have in the starting rotation over there of Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, and Grant Taylor. We were hoping that you would have 3 games under your belt coming into this conversation, but unfortunately, we only have 2. But you did see Schultz and Hagen Smith. Your takeaways on what you've seen so far and what you've heard?
Well, I mean, I think it's tough to say with one game, but as advertised, I mean, Noah Schultz gave 4 good innings the other night. He had a second inning hiccup, but it was a lot of singles. Just a flare here, a flare there, line drive hit here. Um, at least minimize the damage early. Keywords early to 4 runs. And then Hagen Smith, a few maybe jitters tonight with some walks, but 10 strikeouts. And in the last six batters he faced, he struck out. The last nine batters he faced, he retired in order. I think overall between those two, what was I think 15 strikeouts combined, with five combined runs over the course of I guess roughly about maybe eight innings combined
Mhm.
for each. No, I think overall, well, I mean the key words here, obviously, you know, the health of both. I mean, each have had. Whether it be Schultz with some shoulder impingements, of course. I know Hagen Smith. We're talking years ago. I say years ago, maybe 4 years ago with Tommy John. But uh, I think with Noah, he's got such a strict work ethic. I mean, he just it's his and he was great. He gave me some good quotes the other night. But he told me, he says, "Hey, I won't be able to talk to you until I have to go lift and I have my my day before start routine. Obviously, you don't talk to a starting pitcher the night," he goes, but very regimented. I think the key for both is that they were able to go to big league spring. Each were able to. I didn't talk to Hagen. I haven't really talked to him much, but no, I did talk to him about big league spring, and he says, "Hey, you know what? It was just a great experience to be around veteran players. To know what it's like up there gives you more motivation, obviously, at this level to get up there." But no, it is a great three-headed monster. Taylor, he's going to pitch at the back end of the rotation. I know he had Tommy John surgery as well. Being that I don't travel with the team, I will not see him pitch in Chattanooga, so I'll see him in a second start. I do know that Schweitzer will Taylor will be very, uh, I guess, very very monitored for talking to the pitching coach John Kilvika. Um, John said that Taylor will have Schweitzer piggyback him, meaning there'll be a designated second starter behind him. The second starter, you know that term, um, behind Taylor. So, but no, I mean Hagen Smith the other night, and I know we'll get to the bullpen in a moment, but I mean that certainly has been I'd say the strong card. We're talking two games, but so far for the Barons.
Yeah, I the as far as the piggyback for Schweitzer, I mean, uh, previously when Noah had been in Kannapolis and in Winston-Salem, he had, in Kannapolis, he had Mason Adams, who has just recently had TJ as well. But seeing the two stark, the stark contrast in between the two pitchers really seems to throw off the other teams and is seems to work really well. Yeah, the one thing that I think that you'll run into is every time the Barons play the Smokies, it's the same thing, just the little nip here and there, and it's just dinking and dunking, and they're capable of hitting home runs, but their MO seems to be with these big power pitchers, try and get them out early with all these little singles and raise that pitch count up. That was the thing that they love to do. So speaking of the other starters, Gowans was supposed to pitch yesterday, which got rained out, and then you got Wickelman Gonzalez taking up the other slot. Have you talked to either of those guys or heard anything about them at all?
I have not yet talked to any of those. It's just most of my dealings have been, as I said, I talked to Noah a little bit the other night, and I did talk to again the pitching coach and John Kilvika a lot. And to start the year, John told me this. He said the starters for their first few outings are going to be 5 innings max, 80 pitches. And the club doesn't yet have a defined role for any of the relievers. Guys will just settle into it, as John told me. So there is no closer at the moment. There is no designated long guy. It's just that, as the season unwinds, guys will settle into their role.
Yeah. So the guys that you've seen so far, more or less like the two real guys that I've seen in previous stints with the White Sox affiliates is Peyton Paulette, who's you've seen I think once, and um, Gil Luna Jr. is another one. He's had some injury problems, but also really devastating stuff and the best pickoff move I've ever seen in my life. And then Caleb Freeman, who's also like kind of had like a little bit of an injury riddled, last 2 seasons pretty much, but he was also very good. Have you seen anything on on your side as far as the relievers go? And we, if they don't have roles, you're going to see them work into it. But you have any favorites?
Well, as much as we've talked about the three-headed monster, the starting pitching again, uh, John Kaveka, again, the pitching coach said, "Watch the bullpen. That's really going to be the strength of our team." So opening night, uh, Barons are down 4-0 in the fifth inning. Caleb Freeman comes in. Not the cleanest outing, but he didn't allow a run. I think there was a walk and a couple of hits, and but got out of it. And then after that, he kept it at a 4-0 game. Andrew Dahlquist comes in, two perfect innings. Gil Luna strikes out the side in order, and then Peyton Paulette a perfect ninth. So you do the math. The last 13 batters on opening night, Smokies batters were retired. I mean, I suppose I could say retired in order, but that's redundant. From the fifth inning on, nobody reached base from the last out of the fifth inning. From then, nobody for Knoxville reached base, and Luna looked electric. Paulette looked to everybody, and they kept it at a close lead and or a close deficit. And we'll talk about the offense in a moment. But then the Smokies or the Barons got 5 runs in the bottom of the seventh inning. The next night, not quite the story. It was the other way around. The Barons led 4-1 going to the seventh inning. Hadn't allowed a hit through 6 innings, and then the Smokies scored twice in the seventh against Harold Rosado, and then in the ninth, it was a one-run lead. Um, Taylor Davis came in and just wasn't a very good outing and gave up 3 runs, two of which came on a two-out single in the ninth to untie the game and proved to be the difference. So you've had one set of relievers so far who I guess you could say crew A. The next night, crew B wasn't quite as good. Both games thus far have ended 6-4. So, but again, we'll see. Guys are just settling into their roles. But I think the going back to starting pitching, I think Schultz and Smith so far have pretty much, they said held their own. It was just Schultz was just giving up a lot of singles the other night was the issue. One being hit totally hard, one being hit around the ballpark, but just you know a looper here, a bloop there.
Yeah, that seems to be the story for Noah is that people generally don't make very good contact against him. They'll just hit little loopers here and there, and it ends up stringing things along. Yeah, and I think Davis has a pretty interesting story as well. I think he disappeared from baseball for like 2 or 3 years. So um, I think this is like his second season back. So
Well,
so yeah.
I was going to say Tyler Davis was an independent ball briefly last year. He was in the league where I was in the Pioneer League. He was with the Oakland Ballers
Mm.
for maybe a handful of games, and then I think right before the team I was with last year, the YOLO High Wheelers, Davis got signed by the White Sox. So he'd gone to Sam Houston State, and I don't think anybody had signed him. Any affiliated team had signed him. But anyway, that was his deal. He started professionally in the MLB Partner League.
Ah, okay. So moving along to the infield, I guess I'll start at catchers. That you've got three guys there, but Omar Narvaez has been taking the majority of the at bats so far. But you have Adam Hackenberg, who I think he took one at bat or something along those lines, and
He
you also have Michael Turner, but he's been at first base.
Yeah, I mean, Narvaez was a late signee, and here's a guy, and this the better question for Curt Bloom. Omar Narvaez was a Baron in 2016, and 9 years later he's back, and I'm wondering if there's ever been a Baron that's gone 9 years in a non-rehab
Right, right,
capacity
yeah.
that has gone 9 years between stints. When I talked to manager Guillermo Quiros about Narvaez, he said that Omar was brought in to work with the young staff, to work with all the names we've just mentioned. And Omar Narvaez reminds me of Guillermo Quiros. I mean, both from Venezuela, both
Both
have had big
catchers.
league time,
Yeah.
both tremendous knowledge of the game, veteran players. I mean, I'm talking about Guillermo when he did play, obviously later in his career as a veteran player, valuable guy to have around. And uh, yeah, I've talked to him a little bit, not much, but he was pretty much brought in for that role, is to be that Crash Davis, is to be a 33-year-old catcher, to be in a non Triple A minor league, like Crash was at Single A, and this being Double A. Again, certainly a guy that, and I think that pitchers here, any player would be dumb not to talk to Omar Narvaez about anything. Here's a guy who was an all-star in the major leagues. He was an all-star catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2021, and now here he is, um, back in Double A. But that's why you have an organization. That's why you have guys. I mean, look at Oscar Colas. I mean, designated for assignment. Here he is back again. But yeah, the other catchers, Michael Turner, been around a long time, and he's. I think going into the season that he was supposed to catch. I mean, certainly I'd have to think he will catch quite a bit, but they have him at first base. Um, uh, I'm losing track of the name. Connor, what's his first name? Connor, uh, who was supposed to be here out of Cal State Fullerton. His first name's Connor. I talked to him the other night. Connor was sent out to Winston-Salem, and Connor, I think, was going to be at first base. So there's
Oh,
been some
Caden
late.
Connor?
I'm sorry?
Caden Connor?
Caden Connor. Thank you. Connor's the last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caden Connor was supposed to be here. He was at the
Hmm.
workouts the first couple of nights, and I talked to him, and I think he was supposed to be at first base, and then he got sent out. So sent meaning to Winston-Salem back to high A. So there's a little bit of a shuffle with Narvaez catching and Turner now at first. We really haven't seen much of Hackenberg. I think he came in the other night and caught the ninth inning, and that was it.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah, he came in after Nishida came in for the pinch run. That's what it
Correct.
was. So going around the rest of the infielders, you got William Bergoya, who was a big story in spring training. Number one draft pick in Jacob Gonzalez, and then you saw Mario Camilletti the other night going 4 for 4. He is just a solid gamer of a baseball player. It seems like all of those guys that are in the infield are just baseball guys.
They are. Just again, I'm so new learning these guys. I really am, but you can tell. I mean, Camilletti is a guy that gets that uniform dirty. Last year played some first. He's over at third this year. I mean, obviously Jacob Gonzalez. I mean, given all the bells and whistles coming from Ole Miss, and when you're drafted number one, uh, you know, you're that speaks enough. And again, Bergoya at shortstop. Uh, I know I'm getting old because when I was in Fresno, uh, covering doing the games for the Grizzlies, Williams' dad in 2007 played for Fresno. That's how old I'm getting right now. And he looks just like his dad. But again, when I talked to Guillermo, our manager, and about Bergoya, I'm even talking about obviously the Barons player and William Bergoya, he said that William Bergoya was the MVP of spring training, that he fit in real well at big league camp. I know they went out and traded for him. So obviously, you go out and you trade for somebody that young. Sometimes you get a look at with the hopes of seeing him quickly in a big league environment. Has such a great IQ. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, his dad played in the big leagues with the Reds. In addition, played with a lot of other professional teams, but did have major league time. His dad runs a baseball academy in Venezuela. So, the Suns already going to come a little bit advanced. Uh, they haven't batting leadoff so far. Now, if we had played yesterday, Nishida was going to bat leadoff.
Hmm.
So we'll certainly see that as well this year. But um, Williams a guy that he can. He's not a power guy, but he can run into one once in a while, according to Guillermo, and just a great baseball IQ. And I think you can say that about a lot of kids whose dads played. Gonzalez had the big hit on the opener on Friday night, had a 3-run triple. Uh, he, again, not having seen a lot of them, but comes from such a big program and at Ole Miss and being a number one pick and a guy that can play both second and short. But I think they like Bergoya at short and Gonzalez at second right now. Camilletti, 4 for 4 on opening night, and you'll find this interesting. All the years you've covered the White Sox, but he was the first Baron to have 4 hits on opening night since Gordon Beckham. in in 2009. I want to credit Curt Bloom for saving all those scorebooks and keeping all those scorebooks in the booth. I've already had to refer to them a few times, and we've only played 2 games. But I sent a tweet out recognizing Camilletti, and Beckham is on Twitter, and Beckham responded to the tweet and said, "Do it." So uh, yeah, anyway, but no, Camilletti just seems like you can certain tell, even though I don't know these guys real well yet, who the grinders are. And you know, he might not have come from the most high profile college baseball teams, having gone to school at Oakland University in Michigan and the one on Central Michigan, but a grinder kind of player.
Yeah. The one thing that is going to have to get settled if Camilletti and Gordon Beckham are in the same room is which one has better hair. That is indeed the question.
Well, that one I didn't tweet about. I don't know.
So moving to the outfield, you've had DJ Gladney and Wilfred Veras and Oscar Colas and Jacob Burke getting the innings so far. Um, I know Gladney started at third base, and I think Veras might have started at third base as well, but both of them have been moved to the outfield. So, what have you seen so far out of the outfielders, and have you talked to them?
Yeah, Veras, I know began his career as a third baseman, and he told me that Manny Machado was his guy. You know, growing up in the Dominican Republic because they play the same position, and Machado being of Dominican descent. Uh, I think there's some people that feel Veras could be in Chicago by the end of the season. He's got a lot of power, 16 home runs last year, and what do you have, like 25 stolen bases? So he combines both. Made a great play throwing out a runner. I forgot who the runner was. It's irrelevant, but uh, uh, one of the Smokies was trying to go second to third. A little surprising trying to go second to third with 2 out, but Veras threw the runner out. So he's got a good arm. Put on quite an exhibition in batting practice during the nights leading up. I know it's batting practice, but again, I mean, as Guillermo Quiros shares, he's got just monster power at all fields. Colas homered the other night out toward I think it was right center field, and we know the tools are there with Colas. It just he got designated, nobody picked him up. I think maybe the White Sox are fortunate; they still at least have him in the system. And then so and Colas was a late ad also. So they added 2 guys really late to the roster, like the day before the season. As they'll go back to the pitching, Chase Pymel as well had been sent down from Charlotte.
Yep,
He had already had 1 outing this year since AAA started earlier. We didn't talk
yeah.
about him, but he pitched the other night, meaning Saturday night. But Colas was a late add to the roster, and I asked Guillermo Quiros, about Colas. I said, and because I'm picking Guillermo's brain, I'm needing to learn a lot of these players. And Guillermo looked at me and says, "You know what? I don't even know him." He says he's been at the big leagues or AAA the last few years, while Guillermo's been in the lower levels managing, so he doesn't know a whole lot about Colas. But Gladney and Burke, of course, they pretty much all the outfielders have had time in Birmingham, one way or another. I mean, Gladney was the hero of last year's uh, Southern League title with a game-ending single, and again, he's got a great background because he grew up in inner city Chicago, grew up on the South Side, grew up a White Sox fan. It's a dream for him playing in the system and great attitude guy, and he's got some pop. And Burke is your prototypical center fielder. I don't know how that translates necessarily offensively, but a guy that's got a lot of speed. What people told me made a game saving catch last year in the playoffs. So far this year, he's made a great running catch in the outfield. I mean, I think that's pretty much who your 4 outfielders will be, and I think probably if I had to guess, Colas would be the primary designated hitter, or I could see with 3 catchers, Narvaez DHing on the days he's not catching.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had heard something in Chicago about them trying to move Colas to first base, so we assumed that when he got sent to Birmingham that he would get time at first base. But I mean, you want to keep Turner's bat in the lineup, and if they want Omar Narvaez working with these pitchers, I mean, I just don't see where, other than DH, like where the at bats are going to go unless he's flipping with Turner at first base or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
obviously
It-
something for
well,
Q that he's going to have to work out.
and I obviously we're talking about the outfield. Nishida. I mean, I didn't forget about him. We just haven't seen him in the outfield yet. But Q says Nishida's the fastest guy on the team for a team that has speed already. When you look at Gladney and Varys and Burke, but Nishida can outrun all of them. He says he's just like a rabbit out there. I mean, and Q talked about. He said any of our speed guys, they have a green light to go at any time.
Yeah, I think there's also Terrell Tatum starting out in Arizona. Um, I don't know, like I would assume that he would end up back in Birmingham. That's where he ended the season last year, and that's another speed guy, another outfielder that's got some experience in the playoffs as well. So I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back out there at some point here soon. But I don't know what his injury was. So
Yeah,
um,
I've not heard what the deal is there.
yeah. So obviously we talked a little bit about Nishida here. I'm waiting for you to be able to experience the Riku Nishida that we've been watching here for the last couple of years because he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, again, I'm excited to watch him play, and I joked with him the other night about uh, why he didn't play football at the University of Oregon. I know football's not exactly the most popular sport in Japan. I mean, I know the answer. I was kidding with him, and he looked at me sort of like, "No, no, no, I'll stay away from football." He told me he'd go to all the games, though. As a fellow student athlete, but because I said, well, I think he'd be a good running back. But no, as I said, excited to watch him. And, I think this is a team that, you got 15 guys returning from a championship caliber team. So these guys know how to win at this level. And I know none of them want to be at this level. I get it. I totally get it. Heck, I'd like to be in the major leagues myself. You have a new manager here in Guillermo Quiros, not new to the system, but new to Birmingham. So it helps that he's worked with just about every one of these players, one way or another. Um, Again, Guillermo and I were together in Fresno when he played with the Grizzlies in 2012 and 2013. I've known Guillermo a long time. Knew Guillermo. He played with just about every Pacific Coast League team in addition to Fresno. So I knew him even as an opponent. Always a winner, no doubt about it. I could tell you then that I felt 10 years ago that Guillermo would go on and be a really good manager. So he's, right now, I think it's perfect foundation for whether it be for him or a lot of these players, because we know the big league team hasn't been good. No hiding that over the last couple of years. But when I was talking to, again, John Kavelka, the pitching coach, and he brought up a good line about this. He says, yeah, we've had our struggles, obviously, at the big league level. But right now, our minor league side, look at what the Astros did about 10 years ago. Their major league team wasn't any good, and they got a lot of the top picks. And that translated to a couple of world titles and to continuous playoff appearances. So I think right now the future uh, is bright for the White Sox with a winning foundation in Birmingham last year. And I think that we will find similar results this season.
All right, well, thanks for running us through here, Doug. You got anywhere where people can find your work other than in the booth with the Barons?
Well, you see my Twitter handle right there, Dugout04. That's Doug, Dugout04. That all the credit goes to my mom. She came up with that. She came out with the dugout part, and I came up with the 04. But I like to tweet, and I enjoy tweeting things, historical things about the Barons, or little tidbits about what's going on with the team. Things like that. So I'm on there, and I do some Instagram once in a while. You can find me on Facebook. And usually on Facebook or on Twitter, I always promote whenever the Barons are on the radio. At least it's not about me, folks. Let me make that clear. But the games that I'm doing, that are the ones where I'm handling the play-by-play, I always post to our pregame guest is how you can listen to the game, and my pregame guests, of course, will be primarily Barons or White Sox related. But keep in mind, I am a baseball broadcaster, and I do talk and promote coaches, managers, players of other teams as well. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, and as I said, we're back at it at home on the 15th against Biloxi. The team this week will be in Chattanooga.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on tonight and talking with me and running me through the Baron stuff. I appreciate it.
Thanks for including me, and look forward to it throughout the season.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.